Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And today I would like to present about this paper. The title of this paper is Talent Innovation, Bibliometric Approach. This paper is written by me, Muhammad Zafaris bin Ismail, and also written by Dr. Railis Abdul Wahab and Sita Aisyah binti Ahmad Zaid. So for bibliometric analysis of talent innovation, there are several methods need to be taken. For example, for topics, the two keywords that have been input in the query search is the talent and also innovation. And the scope and the coverage for the search query is the database is from Scopus. For search field is title, time frame from 2017 to 2023, and the language is English, and the document type choose articles. And also there's subject areas is focused on social science, and it limits to language English. So for data extraction from the screening process, it ended at the 24th May 2023, where for the record identify and screening process, there's a number of 394 documents being discovered by this query search used for the bibliometric approach. From the decision table, as we can see from the table, firstly we can see from the main information about data. From the time span used is 2017 to 2023. For the sources being gathered is 189. For the documents is 394. For annual growth rate is 15.17%. For document, average age is 2.41, and average citation per document is 5.028, and for references is 1. But for document contents, for keywords plus ID is 1001, while the author's keywords DE is 1533. For the authors, the numbers being gathered is 990, and authors of single author documents is 72. For authors collaboration, for single author documents is number gathered at 72, while for co-author per document is 3.01, and international co-authorship percentage is 20.3%. For document types, the number being gathered for the articles is 391. From the bar graph, as we can see, which are two bar graph being used from the bibliometric approach, which are most relevant authors and most relevant sources. For most relevant authors, most of the authors originate from China, where these authors particularly focusing on the innovation and talent development in the Guangzhou area or Silicon Valley in China. But for most relevant sources, most of the most used journals used is the Sustainability Switzerland, where there's a number of 86 number of articles being published in the Sustainability Switzerland from the total of the document using the bibliometric approach. For this slide, we're focusing on two graphs in combination of graph. The first graph of the average citation per year and also the annual certificate production per year. As you can see, for the green indicators indicates the annual certificate production per year, where it peaks the number of production numbers of 86 during 2022, where the citation during that time is 0.86. But for the peak numbers of citation, averagely the highest is 2020 with the numbers of 1.93. But for the annual certificate production in that year, particularly for 2020, is 61 article being published during that year. For this slide, we are focusing on the conceptual of talent innovation, which focusing on 4 theories being discovered by other scholars that will be discussed in this particular paper. For the 4 theory we discovered, which are innovative driven development theory, project-based learning theory, modular teaching theory, and deliberate practice theory. For innovative-driven development theory, is a theory use of human capital intelligence as a production system in creating for enhancing the production element, where there are probably a system used to enhance the human capital intelligence to ease or making it simple for the production element, making easier and properly developed using human capital intelligence, which is very similar to the project-based learning theory. For project-based learning theory or PBL theory, basically a similar concept being used by TVETs, or basically is a practice based for human capital, in which the human capital can develop their talent using a practice rather than dictate or theory education only. So it's particularly for this theory, it's a very similar implication or implementation by early scholars such as Aristotle, in which that for education or knowledge is easy to adapt using practice rather than only on theory approach. But for the third theory, which is for modular teaching theory, for modular teaching theory is basically focus on the smaller units system teaching before combining into a more or larger or big unit of organization rules, based on organization rules. So basically they use the human capital to properly develop the talent from the small unit of practices, and then they are combining into a much more complex unit system. And it's also very similar to the fourth theory, which is the deliberate practice theory. The deliberate practice theory is basically very similar to the grinding or the concept of making yourself working harder every day using the same practice, but it will be facilitated by other facilitator to ensure the difficulty will be increasing depending on the competency of the human capital and the compatibility with the activity or the education will be provided. For the last slide, is focusing on the development of talent innovation. Basically, is the framework or the implementation of the conceptual, and these are the attributes will be implemented, which are the talent innovation, introduction, effect empowerment, technology absorption, effect empowerment, and innovation integration, effect empowerment. For talent introduction, effect empowerment is basically focusing on the talent of the human capital in utilizing the human capital to making sure that the process of the production becoming more efficient and effective using the talents of the newer technology era. But for the technology absorption effect empowerment is focusing on the newer technology such as Internet of Things, in making sure that the era of the internet will be used, to making sure that the technology will be absorbed for the organization to properly develop the human capital, in making sure that the production or manufacturing process becoming much more better. And for the innovation integration effect empowerment is focusing on the integration which use the integration utilization using the organization in better internal and external environment of the organization.